Okay, it's Komg expedition time. Not heading towards mist-shrouded Skull Island on a tramp steamer, but hopefully getting a bus to Southport. So here I am at the bus station. Well, I've arrived and I'm not sure I'll make it to the film actually, because there are priorities like food and drink and bookshops. Anyway, this is Southport, Victorian era seaside town. I came to see a painting of Lilith, which doesn't seem to be on display, but there is this one, so Lilith not denied. Okay, bookshop time. This is Broadhurst, one of my favourites. So it's a bit desolate at the moment. It's a sort of seaside Mordor. And you've got the digital copies of unlet restaurant units if you want a snack. Okay, I'm out, and initial reaction, good. Really enjoyed that. Okay, walking back to town now to get the bus. Yes, that was definitely a film. Okay, I'm back, and I did buy some books in the little bookshop. Well, not that little actually, it's got about 5 stories, so you just keep going up and up. It's brilliant. You reach the apex and there's a little sort of landing full of science fiction paperbacks. Hooray! So I'm kind of gearing up for a haul video, so I'll go into what I found another time. So yes, to the film. I just kept thinking I don't want to go to this, and you know, I've had a nice trip, I'll just go home now. And even once I was in there, I was thinking, well, I'll give it half an hour, maybe 40 minutes, enough to get the gist, do my job as a sort of cultural analyst, and then I can go and get the bus. Even after it started, I was like, oh, it's got a kid in it. I'll plot my trip. What's the easiest way to get to the exit? But then, after a while, and before I reached my oh dear, I've had enough of this time, but after a short while, I began to really enjoy it. And in the end, I really, really enjoyed it. Probably because I started with such low expectations, but it was good. So why? Well, overall, obviously, it's pretty bonkers and ridiculous, and it sort of piles conceit upon conceit upon conceit and keeps ramping up. So if you go with it, like me, you end up with a smile on your face. And you know, I thought it was a lot of fun. And I've written down pluses and minuses. So going through the pluses first, in no particular order, I liked because, you know, I must admit my level of interest in monsters fighting monsters is pretty low these days. You know, I think the reasons I was trying to talk myself out of going, despite the amazing coincidence that, having thought let's have Giant Ape-ril, in the middle of Giant Ape-ril, a new film with King Kong in it comes out at the cinema. I sort of felt like, well, this is fate, you've got to go. But I'm pretty bored with CGI. I'm bored with green screen acting movies. I'm bored with fictional universes. So all those things were sort of stacked against it. But I liked Dan Stevens. Dan Stevens, I'll always think of as the guy out of Downton Abbey.
You nearly forgot what it was then.
Out of that thing.
That thing, that bloke out of that thing.
That show that's obviously in the same universe because he's in it. So Dan Stevens plays a sort of maverick, the crazy maverick vet. Not actually as a character, not terribly dissimilar from the Jeff Bridges guy in the 1976 movie. And for some, he just does this crazy accent, and he's really good fun, and that's great. I liked the Hollow Earth just as an idea, and the artwork. You know, I suppose these kind of, I mean, they're something more than backgrounds now, I suppose, but you know, virtual environments. This sort of artwork, it's the fantasy artwork of today, and yeah, really like that. Thought it was really beautiful. You know, the aesthetics. You know, we've seen it in Marvel. Sometimes they get the aesthetics right, and something is actually really beautiful, and sometimes it just isn't quite right, and it just turns ugly. But this was good. Also, it isn't just about monsters bashing monsters. It's got a kind of explorer type strand running through it. So it's a little bit like, and partly because it's in the Hollow Earth, I suppose, it's a little bit like those Edgar Rice Burroughs Land That Time Forgot type movies they had with Doug McClure in them. So that was good. Also, I did actually quite, although I'm not like a big monster guy, I did quite like the sort of destroy all monsters, you know, loads and loads of the Japanese movie monsters showing up. That was quite fun. And Komg has a beard. Great stuff. And he's old. He needs prosthetic parts, you know, so he's like, oh yeah, that's relatable. So yeah, lots of good stuff. On the negatives, well, I said I had misgivings about having a kid in it, although she was actually pretty good. But there's also a baby Komg, maybe not so great. We got echoes of Godzuki and Scrappy Doo creeping in there. There's a bit of splashing around in the sea, which I never like. I think, you know, even if it's like a film, like a James Bond film where he's like in scuba gear or something, I always think, oh, get out the damn water. Films should be dry.
Do you like your films like you like your food?
Yeah, food should be dry as well. No soup.
Roy doesn't approve of soup.
Not really. Not at a conceptual level. I don't know. And too many glowing lights. There's a real thing in all movies and television that anything that's meant to be science fiction technology or fantasy magic power or superhero power is a sort of febrile glowing thing, and it just make, you know, like I think the new Star Treks are like the worst example, where because the ships are virtually all made of these lights now, so everything's just like darkness, so you can see these glowing things. So everything looks like a sort of glowing hologram. It's bright, it's glowing blue. It just looks like cheap ornaments, like Christmas ornaments, you know. It looks like a sort of low rent Christmas grotto, I think. It started, the lights arrived with Close Encounters of the third kind, and they've been getting worse ever since. Yeah, and my other negative is just a bit of realism about the damage control aspect. The monsters, the idea is that they're the titans who defend humanity from other monsters, but they're always smashing buildings, and you know, the pyramids get kicked over like sandcastles, but sometimes they just show up in a city and people are like, running away, and then within like a minute or two buildings are being shattered and collapsing and stuff like that. So it's hard to believe everyone would be sort of, yay, the monsters have saved us, when there would presumably been a sort of load of innocent people must have been maimed and slain. You don't see any of that, but just, you know, how does that work? Maybe in the Monsterverse people just get really good at evacuating cities in about 30 seconds. or maybe people just take a considered view of the greater good.
Are they sent to live on a farm?
I think so,
I think they've all got to live on a farm.
But those things aside, like I say, enjoyed the film, and it's, you know, King Kong is a 1933 movie, and it always will be, and it kind of doesn't really need any more than that, and yet there's been this great sort of history of reworkings and so on, and this is the latest point in that, so it was kind of cool to experience that. So that was my day out and my thoughts on Godzilla x Kong: The New Empire. Okay, back soon with something else.